Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel Yudhishthira Education. Today I'm going to talk about the differences between recount text and narrative text. This material always exists in senior high school or in high school. This is so important for the student. For example, if you want to master English skill, you must master all of the material in English. And today I'm going to tell only in the differences about two texts in English, that is recount text and narrative text. Do you understand? Do you know about the recount text? You can try to remember when your teacher was explaining about the definition of recount text and the structure of recount text. What is that? Have you remembered about that? I'm sure you have great feeling and thinking. Okay, I'm going to explain about the first is recount text. You can compare between recount text and narrative. Okay, recount text. What is the recount text? Recount text is retelling writer past experience that you must think that this story is the real story, not imagination. This is a real story. Recount text, there are three structures that you master it, because that's so important if you want to make a story about your life. Minimally, you must make the story, especially for the recount text, 3 paragraphs. The first structure is orientation, the second is event, and the third or the last is reorientation. Each structure, each part have different meaning. The orientation is only opening, who, where, and when. And the second is event. Event, you read down your experience in your life on the paper. And the last is reorientation. Reorientation is the end of the story. You can fill this paragraph using filling out the writer after holiday or after vacation. Maybe the writer feel happy or another feeling. I'm sure every writer have different feeling. And if, especially in the recount text, if there are someone ask about what is the purpose of the recount text. The purpose of the recount text is retell about the writer past experience. This is the real story. You should remember, this is the real story. Okay, this is the real story. And if you want to make story about your life, you must master simple past tense. The characteristic of simple past tense is using the second verb or the verb to, and if you want to make or if you want to use to be, you must use were or was. Okay, the second is narrative text. I repeat again, recount text is the real story, and narrative is, you can try to think to answer what is the narrative text. I'm sure you have great ability to answer. Again, narrative text is text about the story but only imagination. For example, legend or fairy tale and others. If there is someone will ask about the purpose of narrative text, what is the purpose of the narrative text? Narrative text have one purpose, that is to amuse the reader or to entertain the reader. Only one purpose in the narrative text. Structure of the narrative text, there are 4 structures. The first is orientation. This orientation, there are similarity between orientation in the recount text and orientation in the narrative text. It's the same. Only opening about when, where, and who. Second structure of narrative text is complication. And the third is resolution, and the fourth is reorientation. between recount text and narrative text, especially in the part reorientation, is so different meaning. I repeat again, in recount text, reorientation only filling out of the writer. But in the narrative text, reorientation is the moral value of the story. That is so different. And if you wanna read a story, especially imagination story or narrative text, if you wanna read narrative text, you should pay attention all the content of the text using simple past tense. The same with the recount text. So the similarity of two texts, recount text and narrative text, the first is using simple past tense, and the second, this is the story, not describe something, not explaining something. No, this is only story in the past. But in the differences about the recount text and narrative is recount text is the real story, and narrative text is only story of imagination, something. Okay, that's all my short explanation about the differences about recount text and narrative text. I hope my explanation can help you to understand about two texts that I have explained beforehand. Okay, see you next time. Bye.